times 03 Sao. At 1 a.m. the wind blows, at 2 a.m. the dogs howl, and at 3 a.m. the ghosts come out. Spirits communicate with humans. At 3 a.m. you might feel haunted, getting goosebumps. 3 a.m. is a time for dark magic. Some wake up at night. In Europe and America, there's a belief that ghosts, witches, werewolves, and evil entities come out to wreak havoc. For example, don't knock on doors at 3 a.m. If you hear someone calling you at 3 a.m., don't respond. Also, don't talk to Siri at 3 a.m. Black magic, witchcraft, or even evil spirits. Many people may wake up in the middle of the night for no reason. In Europe and America, there is a belief that this is the time when ghosts, demons, witches, werewolves, and evil things will come out to wreak havoc, referring to Christian principles, and the old saying that says, not to do anything at 3 a.m. For example, don't knock on doors at 3 a.m. because if you open the door, you might see a ghost. If you hear someone calling you at 3 a.m., don't respond, or the ghost might come to haunt you, or something might attach itself to you. Also, don't talk to Siri at 3 a.m. because that Siri might not be the same one you're used to. Let Siri in the house. Let Siri in the house. Let Siri enter the house. And all these beliefs lead to the movie that we will spoil today with 3 a.m. 3D, a horror story that takes place at 3 a.m. when it is believed that the spirits of the dead are closest to the living. How close will they be to you? Let's go watch it together. First of all, don't forget the ticket price per person before entering the theater. And today, if anyone shares this video, let us know because we're giving away snacks in the cinema. Last time, we couldn't find the shop. For our VIP subscribers, we bow to you and invite you to the first class section. And don't forget to ring the bell for good luck and to ward off evil spirits. It's time for the movie to start, so let's enjoy it together. A warning for those aged 18 and over. Viewers under 18 should get guidance from an adult, and elderly viewers with heart conditions should be under medical care. If you're going to be alone or looking for a partner to join you, to avoid being too startled and to protect against COVID-19, you should wear a mask before watching. I hope everyone enjoys the show. Thank you.
Let's watch together to avoid being too startled and to protect against COVID-19, so it's a good idea to wear a mask before watching as well. I hope everyone enjoys the show. Thank you.
Horror acid.
An old man cuts a dead woman's hair. She opens her eyes. May runs a wig shop. Her parents call, returning. He cut her hair. The corpse opened its eyes. In a wig shop, May is in charge. Her parents call, asking for mint. A customer sells hair. The phone rings at the shop. It's a call from May's parents, saying they will return tomorrow and want to talk to Mint. May and Mint often disagree, and Mint is upset that their mom keeps giving May her old clothes she doesn't wear. A customer arrives to sell hair. May takes it and asks them to wait while she checks it. Mint warns May to be careful, saying something bad will happen with the hair. May insists she will use the hair to make wigs for charity. Mint retorts their mom is generous, but wants her old clothes back, then walks away displeased. May accepted it and told the customer to wait. While May was checking the hair, Mint warned her that something bad will happen with the hair, but May said she would use the hair for charity wigs. Mint retorted, their mom is generous, but wants her old clothes back, displeased, then left. May noticed the hair was shiny and long, and gave the customer their money. The customer looked startled, accepted the money, and left quickly. The customer was shocked by news that the hair seller had died. May noticed that the new hair she received was shiny and beautifully long, so she went to give the waiting customer their money. However, the customer looked strangely startled before accepting the money and quickly left the shop. What shocked that customer was the front page news article stating that the old man who sold her the hair had died. While May was washing the hair and putting it in the hair dryer, before she started styling it, suddenly a ghostly hand reached out from behind her, making May feel uneasy. Out of nowhere, a ghostly hand reached out from behind her, which made May feel strange. But when she looked back, she saw nothing. After a while, Mint, who was about to go out for the night with her friends, came in to tell May that she didn't need to lock the house tonight because she would be back late. After the shop closed, May went to take some painkillers in the bathroom when suddenly her nose started to bleed. She quickly rushed to wash the blood away, but at that moment the drain got clogged. She tried to use her fingers to pull out whatever was blocking the drain, and it turned out to be a bunch of long hair. After a while, the water finally drained away. But then, she heard a strange sound coming from the drain. She stared at the drain, and suddenly a hand reached out from the pipe, trying to grab her, which made her jump awake because it was just a dream. When May woke up, she heard some noises coming from outside the shop. She stared at the drain, and suddenly, a hand reached out from the pipe, trying to grab her, which made her jump awake, because it was just a dream. When May woke up, she heard some noises outside the shop. Suddenly, Mint's friends popped in to prank May, acting all tipsy, because they had just come back from the club and wanted to continue drinking on the rooftop of the shop. While they were drinking, they ran out of beer, so Mint suggested that Lynn go down to get some from the fridge. Lynn wore May's wig, unaware it was from a sick person. Friends disapproved. May said Lynn took it. After a while, someone pointed out that it was a wig from a sick person and shouldn't be worn for fun. John and Pond, two other friends, made disapproving faces, while May said that Lynn had taken it without her knowing. May then turned off their music and said that the neighbors had called to complain about the noise, adding that if Mint wasn't going to help, she shouldn't add to the burden. Mint demanded her clothes back from May. "It's just a shirt, why make a fuss?" She yanked the wig off Lynn, slammed it down. She tossed the wig to Lynn. As Lynn replaced the wig, the lights went out. A hand emerged from the wig and Lynn screamed. Before yanking the wig off from Lynn's head and slamming it to the ground, Mint complained that May had taken all her stuff, including the shirt she was wearing right now. She threw the wig to Lynn, telling her to put it back where it belonged, and the two of them started arguing more and more intensely, until Lynn took the wig down to put it back in its place. Suddenly the lights in the shop went out. Lynn felt like someone was walking around her, and then a hand popped out from the wig she was wearing, causing Lynn to scream so loud that everyone rushed down to see what was happening. May noticed blood on the floor before running into Lynn, in a state where only the head was left on the shelf along with other wigs. After a while, everyone encountered the ghost of the girl who owned the hair, and they were all so scared that they ran to the front of the shop to try to open the door and escape. But Mint, who was trying to unlock the door, was so scared that her hands were shaking. Pawn volunteered to try opening the door instead, but ended up using too much force and broke the key. Mint then told Jun, Pawn's girlfriend, to go find a crowbar or something to pry the door open. Jun quickly ran back into the shop, and after a while, everyone heard Jun's scream echoing. They ran in, saw her sitting on the floor. Bull tried to reach out and pull Jun up, but suddenly, water started flowing out from Jun's stomach. Before a ghostly hand emerged, Pond was so shocked that he had to let go, and Jun's body was thrown against the wall and ceiling before crashing down hard on the floor. Mint then led everyone remaining up to the rooftop to shout for help. Before the ghostly hand appeared, Pond was shocked, letting Jun's body hit the wall, ceiling, then floor. Mint led everyone to the rooftop to call for help. Meanwhile, May felt strange, collapsed, and saw visions of the hair owner's death. Mint worried about her sister and tried to help. During that time, May started feeling strange and collapsed to the ground, suddenly seeing visions of the past, specifically the death of the owner of the hair flashing in her mind. Mint started to worry about her sister, so she tried to come to her aid. The ball was taken by the ghost girl with the hair. He fell on a board with nails, piercing him, killing him instantly. The siblings following him were terrified and ran back. May saw the hair owner's death flash in her mind again. Mint used May's phone to call for help, but no signal in the shop. Mint told May to wait as she went to find a signal outside. Before she got far, the door to May's room locked. Mint saw a ghostly girl approach May from behind. Then May saw the image of the hair owner's death flash in her mind again. Mint used May's phone to try to call for help, but there was no signal inside the shop. So Mint told May to wait there because she was going to look for a phone signal outside the shop. But she still couldn't get far, when suddenly the door to the room where May was locked shut. Mint noticed a ghostly girl approaching May from behind. But the door was locked. Mint tried to break it down to help May. When Mint finally broke the door down, May had vanished. She would reappear inside the locked hairdryer, and the temperature kept rising. Mint screamed for May and tried to break the dryer open, until the glass shattered and exploded outwards, causing Mint's body to be thrown against the wall on the other side, knocking her out. When Mint came to, her and May's parents had just returned. Mint walked out to find her mom and dad, who asked what had happened and why May was crying. Mint's body was thrown against the wall on the other side, and she passed out. When Mint came to, her and May's parents had just returned. Mint walked out to her mom and dad, who asked, "What happened? Why is May crying?" Mint was taken aback for a moment because her mom was calling out for May, even though she was right in front of her. Then, May's figure ran past Mint and hugged their mom. When their parents asked where Mint was, they looked around. Mint was stunned for a moment because the name her mom was calling was May's, even though she was standing right in front of her. Then May's figure ran past Mint and hugged their mom. Then Mom and Dad asked where Mint was. Mint tried to shout that she was right there, but no one could see or hear her. Then she noticed the shard of glass sticking out of her stomach, and she realized that she was already dead. Plus, the evil spirit was still possessing May's body.
The House of the Dead. Male nurse Todd was assigned to care for the bodies of newlyweds Mike and Cherry. The female nurse injected formaldehyde into the bride. Todd asked why not the groom. The groom's family didn't allow it, and his body wasn't in good shape. Todd tried to peek into the groom's coffin, but the female nurse stopped him. While the female nurse was injecting formaldehyde into the bride's body, Todd asked why she was only injecting the bride and not the groom. She claimed that the groom's family didn't allow it, and besides, the groom's body wasn't really pleasant to look at. Out of curiosity, Todd tried to peek into the groom's coffin to take a look, but the female nurse stopped him before he could. After that, the female nurse explained the rules that Todd had to follow while taking care of both bodies. Out of curiosity, Todd tried to pry open the groom's coffin to take a look, but the female nurse stopped him before he could. After that, the nurse explained the rules Todd had to follow while caring for the bodies, specifically not entering the couple's bedroom. But soon after she left, a car arrived at the bedroom, ignoring her rule. He even took a nap on the bed. As evening came, people prepared food for the bodies, and he noticed the bride's coffin was slightly open. As evening fell, people prepared food to offer in front of the bodies, and he noticed that the bride's coffin had been slightly opened. A big gecko fell onto the coffin. Opening the lid, he saw the bride's condition. Her body was still beautiful, except for stitches on her chest and neck. The gecko ran under the bride's dress. Suddenly, the groom's coffin moved on its own. Todd, used to dealing with the deceased, closed the bride's coffin lid. There were only stitches on the chest and neck. Then, Totsa encountered the problematic gecko, but it ran under the bride's skirt. So he tried to use his hand to slowly reach under her skirt. Suddenly, the groom's coffin moved. Todd wasn't scared of ghosts. He thought the groom was displeased, so he closed the bride's coffin lid. He slept in the couple's bedroom. Todd found a camera and a CD. The CD was damaged. He found a photo of the bride tied up and abused. In the middle of that night, Todd slept in the couple's bedroom and started rummaging through their things. He found a camera and a CD, so he played the CD, but it was damaged. He then looked at the camera and saw photos of the bride before the wedding. He scrolled until he saw one where the bride was tied and abused. He noticed bloodstains next to the bed. He realized the groom had harmed the bride, but he questioned their love. He sympathized with the bride. Todd found a camera and a CD, so he played the CD, but it was damaged. He then looked at the camera and saw photos of the bride before the wedding. He scrolled until he saw one where the bride was tied and abused. He noticed bloodstains next to the bed. He pieced together the story that the groom had harmed the bride. But it raised a question in his mind. If everyone said this couple loved each other so much, then it must not be true. He felt a wave of sympathy for the bride who had been treated this way. Todd heard a noise, found a thread leading to the morgue, saw the bride's ghost, and was warned by the groom's ghost. He woke up, and the CD now played a video of the bride being tied up. He slowly followed the thread until he stopped at the morgue, where the thread led him to the bandage from the bride's body. There, he encountered the bride's ghost, who was gesturing for help. But just as Todd reached out to her, the groom's ghost grabbed her and shouted for him to leave, causing Todd to wake up startled, realizing it was just a dream. After waking up, the CD started working. He turned it off and ran to the morgue. He moved the groom's coffin to the prayer room. Feeling sympathy for the bride, he turned it off and ran to the morgue where both bodies were kept. He saw the bride's coffin was slightly open, the stitches on her body removed. Angry at the groom, Todd shouted that even as a ghost he wouldn't be afraid. He took the groom's coffin and bound it sacredly. Todd said the groom must not harm the bride again. He left after supporting the bride's body and stitching her. Puzzled by the groom's cruelty, he engaged intimately with her corpse. She was a ghost. He was not afraid. Moved the groom's coffin to the prayer room, wrapping it with a sacred thread. Todd declared that, as long as the groom was in this house, he shouldn't even think about harming the bride again. After that, he walked out of the prayer room. As he came to support the bride's body and stitch her wounds, he touched her, captivated by her figure. He couldn't understand why the groom was so cruel to her before he climbed on top of her body and had relations with the bride's corpse. During that time, he treated her as if she was still alive, playing music for her, taking her outside to bathe, and taking care of her very well. He couldn't understand why the groom was so cruel to her, for he climbed on top of her body and had relations with the bride's corpse. During that time, he treated her as if she was still alive, playing music for her, taking her outside to bathe, and taking care of her very well. At that moment, Todd had fallen deeply in love with her, and he had to wake up from the dream. When he heard a sound, he was in a state of having just finished with the bride's corpse. As he got up to put on his pants, he heard a woman's laughter echoing. He turned to look at the bride's body, still lying naked on the bed, and when he walked outside, he found that the groom's coffin in the prayer room had been opened. Todd felt a presence and fled. The bride's body vanished. He cried, "Why won't the groom let her go?" Doors slammed, and a hand pulled him under the bed, the bride's. But when he returned to the bride's body, it had vanished from the bed. He was shocked by what had happened, and shouted, "Why won't the groom let the bride go?" Just a moment later, he heard doors and windows slamming shut all over the house, and then a hand grabbed his leg, pulling him under the bed. Todd tried to crawl away, but the bride's ghost stabbed his foot with a shard of glass, causing it to bleed. He struggled in pain until he managed to break free and found the groom's corpse sitting against the wall in another room. Then, Todd witnessed the entire scene unfold before him, like a different movie, revealing that the bride had been suffering from a self-harming condition, which led the groom to tie her hands and feet. Out of pity for her, the groom eventually untied her, only to be met with the bride using a shard of glass from a music box to slash his throat, before she slashed her own throat to follow the groom in death. When Todd learned the truth, he tried to escape, but the bride's ghost appeared and asked if he no longer loved her. After that, Todd woke up inside the bride's coffin, trapped in there while the bride's ghost sat on top of it. Odi. In a haunted office, Pump and Hang were leaving after overtime when they saw Ayaz chatting. Waiting for the elevator, they saw a sleeping guard. Pump pranked him. Suddenly, they heard a noise and saw a floating head. They ran down the fire escape. Ayaz heard screams and saw a computer fall. But both of them thought she was probably working overtime too, so they didn't pay much attention. Before Pump and Hang got into the elevator, they encountered an old security guard who had been sleeping for a long time. Pump decided to play a prank on him by drawing on his face with a pen. While they were waiting for the elevator, they suddenly heard a strange noise behind them. When they turned around, they were shocked to see a floating head right in front of them. They were really scared and since the lip still hadn't arrived, the two decided to run down the fire escape instead. Ayez, who was chatting, heard their screams and got frightened. She felt like something had just passed by her, and after a moment, the computer behind her suddenly fell to the ground, followed by Nine, Yi turning to look at her. Then, every computer in the office started to error out, accompanied by the sound of crying, and traditional Thai music playing loudly, which made her lose her mind, and scream before running out of the office. Then the laughter of the company's owners, Garan and T, echoed through the office. They often enjoyed playing pranks on the employees, and this time was no different. They both had so much fun. Sometimes, they also enjoyed playing pranks on each other. They talked about an employee who liked to play on Facebook during the day, and when the work wasn't finished, he would end up working overtime at night. So they wanted to scare him, so he wouldn't dare stay in the office late. Meanwhile, Garan stepped outside to make a phone call, but when he came back in, he noticed Nine Yi moving on its own and coming towards him. Eventually, Garan figured out that it was a prank by Pump and Hang, who had come back to work overtime because they had an urgent meeting the next day. Then both of them excused themselves to get back to work, while Garoon walked out of the office and T went to his own workspace. After a while, he finished preparing his work and came to say goodbye to T, asking where Garoon had gone. T replied that he didn't know, and had a feeling that since Garoon had been gone for so long, he was probably preparing another prank on him. Soon after the employees left, T heard a noise from another room. He checked and saw a ghostly woman. Thinking it was a prank, he turned on the light, but it was just a mop. Suddenly, the fridge door opened and closed by itself. Assuming it was Garon's prank, T held it shut with his foot. Garon then entered. T felt embarrassed and was about to leave when the fridge door opened again, revealing the ghostly woman reaching for him. Panicked, T ran and bumped into a ghostly security guard. It was all a setup by Garon, with help from Pump and Hang. He thought it was a prank by Garon, so he used his foot to hold the refrigerator door shut. Then Garon walked in and said he had bought some burgers. T felt ashamed, and was following Garon out of the room when the refrigerator door opened again, and a ghostly woman with long hair crawled out. She was grabbing T, making him flee and bump into the security guard ghost with a mangled face and bulging eyes, shocking him. But the truth about the long-haired ghost and the security guard ghost was revealed to be a setup by Garon, who had enlisted Pump and Hang to help him. Garon said that if you want to scare someone, you have to do it convincingly like this. While Pump was about to wake T up, they realized T wasn't breathing. Everyone started panicking, wondering what to do, because T had been so scared he might have had a heart attack. While Pump was about to wake T up, they realized that T wasn't breathing at all. Everyone started panicking, wondering what to do, because they were so shocked that he might have had a heart attack. Garon told them not to do anything, and instructed both of them to go home, making it clear that they should never speak of this to anyone. He said he would take full responsibility for everything, and then walked back into the office. After a while, Ying asked Bum if Brother Thee's body had opened its eyes just now. Bum said he didn't know because he was really scared, so he told Ning to close T's eyes. As Ning reached out to close T's eyes, T grabbed her hand and laughed, because it was a plan that he and Bom had set up to prank her again. Just a moment later, they all heard a noise in the office, so they ran in to check it out, and found Garon hanging there. They were all really shocked by what they saw, and started blaming each other back and forth, until Garon said there was no need to blame anyone anymore. They should just have fun together. T laughed because he knew Garon had pulled off so many pranks, that Bom and Ning were really annoyed with their boss's antics. Finally, they all walked out of the office together. While everyone was waiting for the elevator, Garon spoke up saying, "It's almost 3 a.m. now. They say that 3 a.m. is the time when ghosts come out to haunt." After a while, Garan remembered something and went back into the office, with everyone following him. They pushed in to write a sign on the refrigerator saying it was broken, because earlier he had opened the back panel of the fridge to use it for a prank, so he needed to put a note for the cleaning staff to avoid confusion, thinking it was a theft. Garun asked Pump to get some tape, and T went out to help look for it as well. While Pump was looking for the tape, he stumbled upon T's body, lying in a pool of blood on the floor. And Garun just realized that T must have died when he was pranked by the security guard ghost, causing him to lose his balance and fall, hitting his head on the tablet that was plugged in, which led to his death right then. And there, everyone was stunned by T's body in front of them, when suddenly they heard T shouting from another room that he had found the tape, and was walking towards them. Then the lights in the office went out. In a moment, a ghost appeared beside them, with the receipt still stuck in his head. Everyone screamed in shock, before running out. But because the lights went out, the scanner stopped working, so they asked them to fetch the keys. As they went to get the keys, they found T's body on the scanner. His eyes opened, they screamed, ran to Garen's office for the keys. After finding the keys, they called Bomb to hurry. Bomb stood shocked, and they found Garen's body behind the desk. They realized Garen died before pranking them. They realized Garen and T were ghosts. They tried to rush out but stopped seeing a shadow. Garen's ghost pushed the door, scaring them away. It was another prank by Garen and T. After scaring each other, they packed to head home. Waiting for the elevator, it was 3 a.m. The elevator opened to Bomb and a woman. Garen warned them about procrastinating and working late. T's phone rang, a call from his secretary. So Garen and T had both become ghosts. They rushed out when they saw a shadow approaching. Then, Garen's ghost pushed the door open to scare them, making them panic and flee. It was a prank by Garen and T. They packed up to leave. At 3 a.m., the elevator opened to Bomb and the woman. Garen warned them they procrastinated and worked late. Then T's phone rang. His secretary said Pump and Ming fell and died at midnight. After they had their fun scaring each other, they packed their things and were about to head home. While they were waiting for the elevator, it was exactly 3 a.m. When the elevator doors opened, they found Bomb and the woman standing inside. Garen warned them that the reason they were scaring them was that they liked to procrastinate and end up working overtime late at night. At that moment, T's phone rang. It was a call from his secretary, and it was reported that Pump and Ming had fallen down the stairs and died since midnight. This was the first death that they had pranked the two younger ones with. When Garen and T found out, both of them felt really guilty. Before Karen could say, shit, it was over. So that's the end of 3 a.m. 3D. How was it? For me, I think it was pretty scary, except for the last part, that had a twist, and another twist, until I felt dizzy. What do you guys think? Don't forget to comment below this clip. And the top comment of this clip is, brother, I can't remember the name of the movie, but I want to listen to it and watch it. When I was a kid, I didn't dare watch it. Brother, please tell me the story. The story I remember is that there was a pickled corpse in a jar. There was a group of people who were eating with the owner of the house, but the meat inside was human flesh. Someone wrote on it until they saw eyeballs floating in the plate, so they threw up. That's all I remember. Oh, and there was a scene where they pulled out their toenails. Cream pulled them on the left. That's all I remember. Please help me find it and tell me about it. For anyone who remembers the movie with the toenail scene. Just kidding. But I think this movie might be blood before tasting. But I'm not too sure. If anyone knows, please comment and let them know. I'll try to look it up too. Why chase after a guy when you can just ride a motorcycle? Alright, I have to sign off now. See you in the next clip. Goodbye.